I didn't raise my voice. I didn't embarrass him in front of my family. I didn't even insult him. But one quiet decision I made at my front door has completely divided my family and left me wondering if I crossed a line I can never come back from. I'm a 57-year-old father, and for most of my life, I've been a long-haul truck driver. I've spent decades on the road, seen a lot of things, and believe me, I've made more than my fair share of stupid mistakes. I'm not some perfect guy, and that detail matters later in this story. It all happened 3 days before Christmas. My daughter's boyfriend was coming over for dinner. They're both 19. This dinner was important. He was heading out of town with his family for the holidays, so this was our one chance to sit down together before everything got chaotic. Everything felt normal, just a typical family evening about to begin, until I opened the door. He stepped inside, a polite smile on his face, and took off his jacket. And that's when I saw the shirt. Bold, black letters right across his chest. A sentence so crude, so disrespectful, it made my stomach tighten instantly, not because I'm a saint. I've heard worse, I've probably said worse in my younger days. But this was different. He was standing in my home, in front of my wife, and he was dating my daughter. I didn't react at first. No yelling, no big lecture, no scene. I just looked at him for a second, then looked at the shirt, and then back at him. I asked a simple, quiet question. Do you have any cash on you? He looked completely confused. He shook his head no and asked me why. That's when I calmly told him the truth. I said the shirt showed a complete lack of respect, not just for my daughter, but for my wife, and for the home he had just walked into. I reached into my wallet, pulled out two $20 bills, and gently placed them in his hand. Then I did something that would later explode into a massive family argument. I put a hand on his shoulder and gently guided him back toward the front door. I said, "There's a Walmart about 3 miles down the road. Go buy yourself a different shirt. Come back wearing it. Dinner will be waiting for you." Nobody else heard this conversation. Not my daughter, who was in the kitchen. Not my wife, who was setting the table. Not a single other person. There was no public humiliation, no raised voices. It was just a quiet moment between two men, a quiet correction. He didn't argue. He didn't get defensive or angry. He just looked at the money, looked at me, and nodded. He took the $40 and left. For the next 15 minutes, the house was silent. I stood there by the door, just wondering if I had just blown up my relationship with my daughter over a stupid tea-cut. I replayed the moment in my head a dozen times. Did I go too far? Was there another way? Then, the doorbell rang again. I opened it, and there he was. He was wearing a clean, simple polo shirt. He walked in, handed me the change from the $40, and didn't say a single word about what had happened, and neither did I. We sat down, we ate dinner, we laughed, we talked about their Christmas plans, about school, about everything. If you were a fly on the wall, you would have thought it was a perfect, happy family evening. The issue was resolved, or so I thought. The next day, my daughter came to talk to my wife and me. She wasn't yelling, she wasn't crying, but her voice was heavy when she told me that what I did had deeply embarrassed her boyfriend. She said I humiliated him by sending him away like a child. My wife didn't yell either, but she agreed. She told me I could have handled it differently, maybe pulled him aside and just spoken to him without the whole Walmart trip, and that's when the doubt really crept in. Here's the thing that most people, including my own family, don't fully get about me. I remember being 19. I remember being young and dumb. I remember thinking that shock value was the same thing as having a personality. I wore shirts to get a reaction. I said things to push buttons. I was that kid. And the moments that actually changed me, the ones that helped me grow up, weren't the times when someone screamed at me or shamed me in public. The lessons that stuck were the quiet ones. The moments where someone I respected corrected me privately, without trying to destroy my dignity. A boss who pulled me aside after a mistake. An older friend who gave me advice without judgment. Those were the lessons that stayed with me for life. And that's what I thought I was offering him. A quiet correction. A chance to fix a mistake without a big fight. I wasn't trying to be a tyrant. I was trying to be the older man who offers a better way, without condemnation. But now, I'm left wondering, did I actually teach a valuable lesson, or did I just cross a major boundary? Was I protecting the respectful environment of my home? Or was I just controlling someone who isn't my son and isn't my responsibility? Is a quiet correction still a form of kindness when the person on the other end didn't ask for it? I never told him he was a bad person. I never shamed him publicly. I never even demanded an apology. I simply drew a line and said, not in my house, but maybe drawing that line, in that way, is exactly where people think I went too far. I don't regret wanting respect in my own home. I think every person has a right to that. But I do wonder if the line between fatherly guidance and overbearing control is much thinner than I ever realized. As a father, you spend your life trying to protect your kids, and by extension, the people they bring into your life. You try to pass on the wisdom you've earned the hard way. But when does that protection become interference? When does teaching a lesson become imposing your will? He's a good kid. He treats my daughter well. He just made a thoughtless choice. Maybe my reaction was just as thoughtless. So now I'm asking you, the people out there listening. Was I wrong for making my daughter's boyfriend go change his shirt? Or did I do exactly what a father is supposed to deprect the tone of his home without ever raising his voice? Because sometimes, the hardest lessons in life aren't the loud, explosive ones. They're the quiet, uncomfortable ones. The ones that make you think for days, weeks, even years later. The ones that are remembered. And maybe, just maybe, that's why this single, quiet moment at my front door still sits so heavily with me today. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm genuinely looking for perspective here. Thanks for listening.